There's about $100 trillion worth of infrastructure that is aging. And no supply chain runs without this infrastructure. They're large capital assets we all rely on. These are the planes, the ships, trucks, and others that everything travels on. As assets get older, suppliers go out of business. You still are trying to figure out how do I keep enough of a supply so that I can continue to maintain and repair these assets. And we are applying AI to see that how do you go improve and extend the life of that old infrastructure. At the same time, we continue to build new infrastructure. How do you apply the newer techniques on artificial intelligence, 3D printing, robotics, humanoids in our physical manufacturing of new assets? When you think of assets, traditional methods have been reactive and scheduled maintenance. So even now, you can go buy a new car, you get service A, B, and C. A is going to come when it is 10,000 miles or it's been a year. Or it is reactive when something fails. But the cost of failure can be very high. So we move to preventive maintenance or the predictive maintenance, where how do you go apply AI techniques to know when something is likely going to fail. But eventually something will happen. Car will break down or a plane will break down. So the second part that we have extended it out to be, how do I go diagnose the problem? You want to predict when something will go wrong or something will go off track, but unless you can diagnose when it happens, you can't really get to prescription. How do I go fix that particular anomaly? There are two things which are associated with fixing something. You have to make a decision on what do I fix? Do I replace a particular part or am I going to go repair it? If you think supply chain implications, there's hundreds of billions of dollars of inventories tied up just in the defense departments because you're keeping all of these parts and you don't know the location of the part. We have Air Force bases all over the place. We have naval ships in the middle of the ocean. So these are not your inventory carrying locations for every single thing that can possibly go wrong. So how do I go look at what inventory is available once I know that I want to say replace it? And then there's the person. You have to go find a mechanic. And our tendency has been, we want our mechanics to know how to go fix or do one particular thing. You cannot take someone who doesn't know anything about planes to go fix a plane. But what we have shown is that you can actually generalize it to a level. So someone who knows how to repair a F-15, can they repair an F-16 or F-22? So there's a lot of knowledge that you're trying to capture. How do I go enhance my ability to look at my workforce differently? Now, where does it apply in supply chain the most? We have planners and we have procurement people, we have logistics people. Why not just a supply chain professional? So again, if you think of it on prescription, it is a knowledge needed to go fix something as well as kind of the part needed to go fix it. Our tendency is that the plane was made 30 years back. We have a part that went in 30 years back. I'm going to keep the inventory of that part. Supplier goes out of business. I'm going to have them go recreate exactly the same part using the same material and same technique that was there 30 years back. Why not 3D print it? Not only can you make them much better, you can also reduce the number of parts involved. Especially if it is kind of a mechanical or electrical or other systems, you can reduce it and you have less causes for failures. And it is much smaller factory, fully automated. So I think if you think of where we are, the technology is more on agentic technology. I will talk about in a little bit before I introduce your synthetic workforce. These are not people, but they act like people. If I say planning as an example, everyone keeps on chasing at how do I come up with a better plan so that a planner can make a judgment on it. You don't need planners. Actually, that's probably the first area automated, because that's one area where you can be a synthetic worker today, because you're purely a knowledge worker. You're learning, you have judgment, all of that is very possible today. So if you think of future of the supply chain, there's a physical side of it. So how do you use vision? How do you use smell or particle detection? Sound or vibration, which can tell you a lot. Many of these mechanics, they just know when their equipment is not sounding good. And then you go to the workforce. Workforce has all been around knowledge of the profession as well as knowledge of how the company does the work. More of that knowledge is getting captured now into the synthetic workers. But eventually, buildings that house kind of 1,000 planners or so today may or may not need more than 10. And that's the scale we are talking about, right? And again, the AI that we are talking about, stop making the plans to be reviewed by someone else, do the plan. And I think there's a big difference between these systems being decision support systems, which is what we are all used to now the world where it is decision-making systems. Thank you.